Hi, let's talk about my little adventure as I decided to import some things into my Canvas page from Canvas Commons. So the first thing I did was I went to my home page and I clicked on Import from Commons, and it opened up the search page. So the first thing I decided to try to look for was I tried to look for music elements. Now, when I was thinking of music elements, I was thinking of things like clef signs, things like music sharp signs, flat signs, maybe some dynamic markings, things like that. But as I clicked on some of these modules and some of these possibilities that I saw, they were really not what I was looking for. I don't know who or what goes through making some of the selections, but just as an example, I clicked on this one that said elements of music module for 6th grade, and it gave me the list, and it just gave me a list of quizzes. It didn't really give me any content that I wanted to look for. So let me back out of that, and then I looked at this one that said musical concepts, and it just gave me a bunch of links, so that wasn't very helpful either. So I'm not sure quite how the search was that helped me there. So I actually, rather than going through filtering for grade level, I decided to just change my search. And so I changed my search from musical elements to music notes. And as I went to music notes, I found 6 pages worth of things, and rather than going through all of the different ones that I could have chosen from, I'm going to go ahead and click out of the import to Commons, and I kind of went too far. So let me log back into my Canvas page. And go to my modules page now. And I found a couple of pages that actually fit my needs. I found a page that said learning the notes. It had a page that said note name review. It had a page that I could click on that had the music staff, and it had some content. Then I could go back, click on the next page, and it had some other things that I could do practice with and some practice without. So it was much more what I was looking for. So it took some digging, but I actually was able to finally find what I wanted. So it does take some time to find what you want in the importing from Commons, but actually there's some really good stuff in there. Uh, so the strength that I found was there is content that you can find if you really want to find it there instead of importing your own comment. The weaknesses that I found was that you really have to look, because sometimes what you think you're trying to find isn't listed the way you think it's going to be there. And the place that I put it in my course, I may not use it right away. So once I uploaded it, right now it's sitting there in my sandbox course. My students aren't actually going to see this course. When I put it together, my students will see my music resources course because it's going to be part of the course that they actually see during the school year. When I put their course together for the year, they'll get this music resources course. This term 2 week 1 is just part of my sandbox course that I'm using for this class. And these courses that I imported are part of my sandbox course. And as I want to use this content, what I'm going to do is I'll just copy it to the course that I'm using for school. So my students won't actually see or are unlikely to see this whole module or this whole module. My students will just see the parts and pieces of it that I want them to see if I decide to use it at all. Right, today was just an experiment on how to use importing the Canvas material. So that's how I imported it in and how I can be able to use importing from Canvas. I could, if I wanted to, I could send this to my colleagues that are on my team, my string counterpart or my voice counterpart, or anybody else on my elementary team that's on other schools, or anybody else that wants it.